In this video today, we are going to learn how to sew a whip stitch. A whip stitch is a decorative stitch that is used to sew two pieces of fabric together. In today's example, we're going to stitch together this little heart. It's nice to pick a contrasting type of thread. You will need whatever you're sewing together. You will need a piece of thread and a needle. I've gone ahead and threaded that needle, and I've tied a nice large triple knot on the end of that. If you're unsure how to tie knots or to thread your needle, go ahead and find the videos about needles and knots. So to begin, you're going to want to keep your two layers together securely as you sew, or you're going to wind up sort of with a crooked shape there. So go ahead and pick a nice starting point. I like to pick a corner. You can see on my other example here, since this was folded in half, that's one less side you're going to have to sew together, and I went ahead and started next to a corner. So I'm going to go ahead and just insert through one side. That will now be my front side. And I'm going to pull my needle through. I like to hold on so that my tail there doesn't come undone. Pull, 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 pull until you hit your knot. Don't pull so hard that you tug your knot out. Now with a whip stitch, it's always going through the front and coming out the back. So now that my thread is out the back, I'm going to go ahead and come back to the front. I'm going to stay about a 1/4 inch away from the edge and from my other stitch at all times. Go ahead and pull this through. If your thread kind of gets hung up there, you can just carefully remove that. And I want my stitches to stay snug, not tight because it's going to scrunch your fabric together, but not loose so that your stitch is hanging off there. So I'm going to back that up just a little bit. So just snug there. So now my stitch is out the back. I'm going to go ahead and come to the front, about another 1/4 inch away, out the back, and carefully try not to let my thread get tangled up. Go ahead and start another stitch. Now, if you notice here, do you see how my stitch is actually coming through that loop that I just made? If I do that, that's actually another kind of a stitch. It's called a blanket stitch, which is not what we're learning with this video. So if you see that your thread is caught there, only way to undo that is to just back your stitch out. Now I want to make sure that I'm not going through these multiple threads here, so just make sure I'm going all the way underneath and back out. And now you can see that my threads are next to each other, not caught underneath each other. So that's something to look for there. Other thing is, we talked about 1/4 inch away. Your stitches can be spaced farther apart or closer together, but you do want to try to keep that consistent. Whatever measurement you're picking, just keep that consistent. So these are all about a 1/4 inch apart from each other, and they're also about a 1/4 inch from the edge. So just another thing to sort of look to. So your first try, it might not be perfect, and that's okay because we're learning. But in time, you'll start to get neater on that. You can also see here that I have a little knot here that got tangled. When that happens to me, I like to use my needle to pull that out like so. All right, so you're just going to continue to go all the way around until you get to the end. If this is something you want to stuff, you want to leave a small opening so that you can get your stuffing in there before you finish up your stitches. So I'm going to adjust a couple of these stitches around here to look a little bit more evenly spaced. And then you can go ahead and stop the video and keep sewing. And the next video is going to be how to add stuffing and tie your knot to finish.